Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Jitsi community call. We're probably going to make this shorter than usual because we are on top of what I'm just going to talk about now. So we're seeing hugely increased usage of the Meet Jitsi service, primarily in Europe, and with a very significant contribution from Italy. So this is awesome. We're very happy that people are finding this service useful as they're navigating through the challenges of today. And it's awesome because we're hitting a bunch of issues that we've never had before, and this is an opportunity to resolve them. It is less so from the perspective that the service is spotty in Europe Central. We're doing everything we can to address these issues. We're working on, we have a few quick mitigations that should hugely alleviate the situation within the bounds of today. So hopefully tomorrow's wave of participation from Europe will be handled significantly more gracefully, but I guess we'll see. We didn't expect any of this. I suppose 500% growth is challenging however you look at it. So with that said, we're going to skip the usual updates, and I'm going to just leave a few minutes for questions from the floor.
What kind of performance issues are you running into, just out of curiosity?
So it's all sorts of different stuff, actually. So like a lot of it has to do with the challenge, with the change in. Sorry, who's that? Hamza. Yeah, thank you for muting.
Sorry.
So it's a bunch of issues. Like a lot of it has to do with the fact that the layout of the conference has changed a lot. So while we used to have something like 75% of one-to-one calls that are not soliciting bridge infrastructures, we're now having a tremendous amount of 20 people conferences, since there are a few schools that are, and by schools I mean more like school chains, that has switched to using Jitsi for their classes. So there's hundreds and hundreds of 25 people conferences. So one of the challenges that we've had in the past is that the automatic scale up that we had was taking a couple of minutes to trigger. And that appears to be insufficient in many cases because we have people joining at exact times. So we would see several hundred just arrive on 8 a.m. sharp, and auto scaling kicks up, but it's too late. But like it's by the time that the new servers become available, it's already too late. We also have so that's essentially just a matter of optimizing the speed with which the new instances come up. It's also a matter of having more over-provisioned instances. It's also a matter of potentially thinking if we need to support migration of existing conferences from overloaded bridges to less loaded bridges. We've had other issues as well where, again, because of the nature of the conference, we have large swaths of people ending up on the same specific shard. So our architecture is kind of built with the idea that you would have a large number of small conferences, and they would get evenly distributed across multiple shards. But however, then additional participants will just go to wherever the conference were distributed. And then what's actually happening is that you could actually have a significant number, or rather a small number of conferences fall on a single shard, and then these conferences all bloat out. And the bridges seem to be handling that well. However, the signaling node, so that's Jitsi and the services around it, Nginx and Prosody, on these services end up being more stressed than we've ever seen before. So it's things like that that have a lot to do with the growth patterns, and that's what we're trying to address. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Okay. Yeah, and this is all running on the old bridge or new bridge?
No, actually, it's all running on the new bridge, and the bridge is behaving surprisingly well. Sorry, that's not what I meant to say. It's not a surprise at all, but the bridge is behaving very well, and the failures have more to do with the other aspects of the Jitsi architecture.
Got it. So is it? I'm curious. Is it more Jitsi or Prosody, or are they both kind of the same?
It's not even. It's hard to. It's not a matter of pinning a specific component. It's just how the combination of everything works. And like, for example, one thing actually is that Octo is not enabled currently on Jitsi, which additionally forces the fact that everyone has to load on the same shard on the same bridge, and that will. Some of that might, get better as we activate Octo, because we would then be able to limit the number of people who have to be on the same bridge. I think they would still have to use the same Prosody though. So no, actually, yes, that's true. So that wouldn't help there. But yeah, it's not Jitsi per se. Prosody has given us more trouble. We recently switched from a version that was using Select to a version that was using ePol. That's helping. But also the machines on which we're running Prosody and Jitsi have never needed to be particularly powerful, and now they are being maxed out. So we have to check that out as well.
Which Prosody version was that you switched to?
Someone help me out, please. Was it 0.11 or what was it?
0.11.1, I think maybe 0.11.1.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I think it's not enough to switch. I think don't you have to explicitly enable ePol, or is that transparent?
It is, yes, you have to enable it as well, and we have switched to 0.11.4. Just checked. That's the version currently running.
11.4.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there documentation on where to enable it, or is this also in the Docker Jitsi meet already incorporated?
I think that would be documentation in Prosody. If anyone is able to.
Could you repeat? Are you asking about the ePol?
Yeah, the
How to enable ePol.
I think it's already enabled in the Docker.
Oh, okay. Right.
I think so. Not 100%.
But Damien, isn't there also a doc that tells you how to enable it for Prosody?
Yes, let me find it and I will send it just in a second.
Okay.
On the topic of Prosody, on the last call, there was a talk about WebSockets switching from I guess using Bosch to WebSockets. And I was curious if that's still ongoing, and secondly, would we expect that to work with JWT authentication as well, or like, I think in the past there was a limitation with using WebSockets with JWT.
Yes, it should work with JWT.
Yeah, I saw you made some changes to the plugin for that, right?
We also submitted a patch to Prosody, which should be included in Prosody. It's not in the current one actually. It should be on the next or I think on 0.5. 11.0.5 should include that patch.
What's the patch for?
Just a simple event, like one line patch. Let me find another link for you.
Okay, thanks.
So I have another change to our token authentication module, but it hasn't been pushed yet. I'll probably push it today. But it lives in Jitsi Meet repo.
And what's that for?
So that's to be able to reuse, to basically use stream resumption plugin with our anonymous token authentication, because anonymous users they get random user IDs, and so we need to be able to reuse that username. These are internals of the stream management plugin, but it works well with regular authentication, but doesn't work with our token authentication. So there's a change for that, just to make it possible.
Great. And it just so the XMPP WebSocket change, has that also been merged, or is that still in progress? I think it was a couple weeks ago the talk was about making that the default.
Yeah, it's not default yet because we haven't landed all the changes in Prosody and in libjitsimit and in Strof. Strof is actually external plugin, so we're able to push it to roll out with our fork before making it to upstream. But yeah, it's still not deployed. It will be enabled in beta soon.
Okay, and is that just what's holding? Is it just it's just not yet currently working at all with WebSockets, or is it a specific part of that? Is it like the JWT auth or anonymous auth, or what is?
So I've been working on the stream management extension for Prosody to be able to resume the WebSocket when it breaks, because depending on the OS, whenever you switch networks, the TCP used by WebSocket will die. And we just want to be able to pick it up. Because for Bosch, it's not an issue, but here it is.
Got it. I see. Okay. That's great. That's really helpful.
Hi, this is Ben. I just have a quick question. I saw that the connectivity issues indicator got removed from the front end. Just wondered sort of to get a little bit more detail on that, and whether there's any consideration to create a new version of this indicator or any other plans.
So yeah, we just felt it was doing more harm than good. It was very aggressive, and it was causing, what's the word for that? Anxiety, I would say, with users. We still have multiple and it was also like there's nothing you could do to help, right? It's like we kind of go black and white, and then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? So we're deteriorating your viewing experience. We're slapping a huge banner on your desktop streaming session that you're looking at, and that really doesn't help anyone. So the plan is to, we're still keeping the GSM indicators, GSM bars. So you're still getting the indications there. And yeah, at some point we want to add in a corner, bottom left or something like that, something that still still says that the current video is having connectivity issues. But I don't think we've done that yet, right, Pavel? And it's not something that we're looking to do urgently since we have the GSM bar still.
Yeah, still working on the designs for that.
Does that make sense, Ben?
Yeah, thank you. So I just briefly looked at network backend ePOL is not, I don't see it on Docker Jitsi Meet, but this is something you use in production, if I understood correctly.
Yes, it's currently being used on this server right now. All right, we're going to cut it here. I'm sorry for the short call. We need to get back to making sure that Jitsi is going to handle the load from now on. And you all have a wonderful day and a week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. Take care.